everyone, to another episode of the Adeptus Ridiculous podcast. I'm one of your hosts, DK Diamantes, and here at the Adeptus Ridiculous, my co-host Bricky will be teaching us all about the most ridiculous shenanigans in Warhammer 40k. But before we get into that, our Patreon has been going absolutely wild. We say this every single time, but you guys just keep breaking barriers, and Bricky, we are less than $10 away from you making Doge Van Dyer merch.
Oh, that's actually happening?
Last I checked this morning, it was like $5,991 on the Patreon.
Oh, shit.
So you better start thinking of some Doge merch.
I thought it was just mainly a joke.
Nope. You're doing it.
Oh, shit.
By the time this episode comes out, it's probably going to be well over that. So
crap.
I hope you have something in mind.
I definitely have ideas.
Yeah. Okay.
Oh, shit. I didn't realize we were getting this close. Oh,
so,
no.
While Bricky has his existential crisis, if you enjoy today's podcast, please be sure to head on over to patreon.com/adeptusridiculous and support the podcast. You'll get access to the Discord, to bloopers. There's some really cool digital HD posters that come out. You definitely want to check those out. So, if you enjoy the podcast, definitely patreon.com/adeptusridiculous. Hopefully, I've given Bricky enough time to sort of recompose himself, because actually, I don't know what today's episode is on. What are we doing today, Bricky?
Well, real quick, I want to mention that merch thing real fast.
Oh, yeah.
So, we're sold out.
Oh, that's right, yeah.
We sold out in like 24 hours, give or take. I did not expect this. I was woefully unprepared. Everyone's gonna get your shirt, it's gonna arrive, it's gonna be great, but I'm just like, wow, I should have had more shirts. So don't worry, I've ordered more shirts. They should be coming. I've ordered quite a few. I'll tell you when they arrive, probably in the next episode, and then I'll be like, go back on it, check it out. But until then, hold tight. You guys, It's quite a lot. I didn't expect it. And we'll have some Doge Van Dyer or something later on too.
Yep. So big thank you to everybody listening, anyone that's bought a shirt, anybody that supported the Patreon. Yeah. It's been overwhelming. It actually
has. I spent a good 4 hours yesterday packing shirts. Just putting them in packages and sending to the post office. I was like, oh Jesus, what have I done? But
apparently something really great.
Apparently something nice and fashionable for our wonderful patrons. But speaking of fashionable, I don't have a segue. We're doing Necrons. But we're doing the major Necron episode, the whole full-on talk of the Crons today.
Oh, I love it. So far everything I've heard of the Necrons has been amazing. From their Pokeball Catans, or I always get mixed up.
You're right. Catan, whatever.
That's the other one's a demon engine. This is a Pokeball god, and the Necron that doesn't remember that he's a robot, tries to eat food and drink, and is
Nemesaur
Xandric, yeah. Oh man, if it's a Necron day, I'm always gonna be happy.
I'm very pleased because I have spent the last few weeks painting up my Necron army, because I'm trying to do Necron stuff over at Dice Check, and I've been spending all this time painting up Necrons, and I'm really hyped to be playing them, and so I'm really hyped to be talking So in case anyone doesn't realize or understand the point of this, because we already covered Necron lore. We covered the Silent King. That's our second episode ever.
I think so.
The
first one was the Krieg. Yeah.
Yeah, and if you want to do a 40k overview, it would be the War in Heaven. So Necrons were our second ever episode. If you're curious about the Silent King and you want to know about how the Necrons became the Necrons and kind of the basis of 40k in general, you can go ahead and check out that episode. I'm sure Shai will link it, but it's the second one we have. And this one is more of an army overview. I'm talking about where the Necrons are at now in the current age of 40k. We're talking about more specific units of the Necrons. We're talking about the different kinds of dynasties, you know, a little bit about the hierarchy. It's kind of like an overview, kind of like we did of Admech and Orcs and the Tau.
Well, I'm looking forward to it.
Good. More Necrons are always fun.
Oh yeah, I'm in it. I'm in it. Let's go.
So I want to talk about a little bit more about the Necrons as they are known to the world. Because Necrons are probably one of the races, besides maybe Tyranids, that are not at all known by a regular Imperial citizen.
Oh, I guess that's true. Like, I guess there haven't been too many encounters with, like, the Imperium and the Necrons, have there? And, like, if a citizen is going to see a Necron, they've pushed all the way to Terra, and that's bad. That's not
that or they're not going to live to tell the tale.
Yeah, otherwise Terra's about to get conquered, and
that's
you're going to
very,
be able to tell
very
about
bad.
it for 5 minutes. Yeah.
Overall, the Necrons, basically, like, worlds go missing or die, like, in the hundreds every year. Like, it's just the way it works in the Imperium. Things just constantly go missing. Things lose communications. They go check it out. It's just rubble. Sometimes it's Necron, sometimes it's not. And some of the times when it is Necrons, sure, it's taken a note of, but honestly, like, no one lived long enough to ever make note of the Necrons. And so, like, as a regular citizen, because the Necrons are probably, besides, like, maybe the Drukhari, are probably one of the smallest races in 40k, along with, like, the smallest, like, footnote. I guess the Tau is up there too, but it's the fact that the Necrons are kind of rising back up in their tomb worlds, and they're kind of going like, hey, we're getting back up. And so, while there's still like a ton, because there's a ton, but they're all asleep.
Right.
So we don't really know where they are.
So the only reason they're small is because all of them haven't woken up yet. Like, the ones that are awake are a fairly small faction, but if, like, every tomb world woke up, they'd be fucking massive. It'd be ridiculous. If every tomb world woke up, the two things holding back Necrons, kind of like how the things holding back Orcs are their stupidity, and that's the only reason why they're not bullshit overpowered. The only thing holding back Necrons is their sleep dementia, all the problems they're currently having when waking up, and, like, the decay they've suffered, as well as just the sheer size. The largest Necron Dynasty currently, the biggest one, is known as South-Tech, and it's 80 worlds, 80. Oh, that is not many. Well, in terms of 40k, like, I know everybody's like, 80 worlds, that's a ton. It's like, in 40k, that's like a pinprick.
That's a drop.
Yeah, that's a drop in a big old bucket.
Yeah, it's currently 80 awoken tomb worlds, which, I mean, a tomb world is like, holy shit, it's a fucking tomb world. But even so, like, with the Imperium having, like, roughly 1 million fucking planets, honestly, it just isn't that many, if you really take the comparison.
Damn, the Imperium has over 1 million worlds?
I mean, that's how they always refer to it in the lore. They're always like, the Imperium of man, 1 million worlds over a galaxy of murder and elves and other debauchery.
I mean, I knew it was a lot, but damn, like, 1 million, like, planets is a lot.
I think we did the math a bit ago, because so you look up stars in the Milky Way galaxy, right? And the answer, how many stars are in the Milky Way? And the answer is 100,000 million stars. At least astronomers estimate there is about 100,000 million stars in the Milky Way alone. And if you think about it, we have how many planets in our solar system? Is it 9? Are we counting Pluto?
I don't know, dude. I don't think Pluto's a planet.
How dare you?
Pluto's a dog.
What? No, put your drum set away. Put your drum set back. Get it out of here.
It's gone.
Stupid. Yes. Okay. Mercury, Venus, Earth, Mars, Jupiter, Saturn, or Uranus, Neptune, Pluto. 9. I was right. It was 9. Okay. We're counting Pluto. Fuck you. Okay. So anyway, if you think about it, like, we've got 9 planets. God knows how many planets are on all. Like, if there's only one planet per star, there'd be 100,000 million planets, right?
Oh yeah.
So honestly, at this point, like, 1 million worlds, in considering the sheer level of Imperium expansion and how much humans like to fuck, I think population makes a decent amount of sense, especially given the time frame. It's stupid. Let me rephrase that. It doesn't make sense. It's stupid. But, you know, when you really truly think about that kind of like scale of the galaxy, we aren't running out of planets anytime soon.
No, we're good.
So
we're good
the
for millions of
Necron,
worlds.
yeah, millions of worlds. Imperium's got millions. You know, whatever. Like their ships are made of cathedrals. All right, whatever. Fuck you. It's perfect. So anyway, Necron Dynasties are very strict in their protocols and their processes. The Necrons as a dynasty are all like a royal kind of stature. The main people above are all known as nobles. So back in the day, your dynasty was like tradition, family, right?
Right.
Now it's a lot more physical. It's like actual programming because, you know, the robots.
Ah, okay.
Like normal Necron.
How does a dynasty work with robots?
I know, right? It's a little strange. At the time, it was like a legitimate dynasty of family and hierarchy and all that stuff. But now it's still considered dynasty, but now they're robots. And now it's actually like the functional programming is through every single dynasty. So like normal Necrons, right? A Necron warrior, a teeny little boy, has almost no brain function. In fact, it almost doesn't operate at all on its own, and it has to be commanded to even do anything. But the higher you go up there, the nobles themselves are individuals. And besides the common cause of, you know, fuck aliens, get money, they don't generally have very similar goals in mind. One of the things that Necrons go hand in hand with is political turmoil. They love to fuck each other over. They love to try to make a coup, to try to get someone off the throne, to try to like dethrone the noble king, yada yada, like all that kind of old school stuff. There's always scheming going on with their little robot hands.
You can't have a proper dynasty, you can't have proper nobility without trying to fuck each other over and fuck each other's houses over. It's just, it has to happen. Even if you're robots, it's not nobility and it's not a dynasty without it. You gotta have it.
It's, yeah, Shai says it's Game of Thrones, but I wish there was like I wish it's Game of Crons.
Oh.
No.
Yeah, you put your drum set away. You put that away. We don't need any more of that. No more drums for anybody.
No one gets drums today.
No more drums today.
This is a drumless episode.
This is a drum-free zone now.
So, a dynasty's hierarchy, right? So if you want to know, like, who's the big bad Kron, you know, who's the big dick Kron, that is always known as the Pharaon. It's Phaeron, Pharaon.
So almost like Pharaoh, but with an N.
Yeah, GW isn't subtle. It's the Pharaon. And then beneath the Pharaon are overlords. And then you've got lords beneath that. And then there's some other ones below that, but they're all a bunch of bitches. It's overlords and lords. So those are the big three. You can have lots of overlords and tons of lords, but there's like the one big bad boy, and that's the Pharaon. Now, there are some subservient titles that are given depending on the situation. Example, Nemesaur is bestowed upon a commander of a military campaign. So our good boy Nemesaur Zandrek is actually an overlord, but he's given the title of Nemesaur because he is actually he's like the general, the main general of a campaign.
Oh, okay.
So that's what makes him a little bit different, besides the fact that he's insane and he tries to eat crumpets and shit.
Just imagining him trying to eat food and like drink and having it all just like slosh down his metal body never doesn't amuse me. That's always a great image to just cheer up your day.
God, it's such a good day to not be a robot. Shai's like, does he try to like seduce the ladies?
I mean, if he doesn't think he's a robot and he thinks he's a person, I mean, the sins of the flesh, right?
It's like beep boop. Hello, Sororitas. I may attempt to believe in your emperor. It depends on how much you want to persuade me.
Oh.
Oh.
I know what kind of fan art you're getting after this episode.
I don't want Nemesis Zandric fan art. He's old. He probably doesn't even want to bang. It probably doesn't work. He's probably just like, man, all these horny fucking kids. Why can't they just enjoy battle like I can? Why can't they just have a good time? Come, Oberyn. These strange Necrons with green paint yelling, "Wah, must die." Onwards, tally ho.
I just had a horrible thought of like what would happen if he actually managed to seduce a lady. Cause he's just a robot. It's just smooth metal down there. Like what?
Yeah, but it's smooth metal. He's an overlord. He gets good shit.
Smooth. Okay, good to know. Yep.
What he like? What she takes off his like overlord cloak and it's all wrinkly and shit. He's like, oh god, he's old.
No. Oh, move on. Next topic. Oh, this has gone to a bad place. Oh man, I am like wiping my hands on my shirt, trying to clean them for starting this conversation.
The blood's on my hands. Okay, don't worry about it. Fuck, what were we talking about? Oh yeah, that's right, the hierarchy. Okay, so each pharaoh or overlord, right? They're also served by something called the royal court. So it's basically like, you know, your advisors, your big political advisors. It's what the president would go into the war room with, right?
Right.
And these people assist in administration, military campaigning, all that kind of stuff. It's filled with lords, overlords, generally the pharaoh himself, and also something called cryptex. And cryptex are basically a variant of Necron hierarchy, but they're like the engineers and technology kind of people.
Oh, okay.
Generally, you consider them as engineers.
Right.
Their powers, though, are fucking insane. You can almost assume that they are like psychers, but they're not though. That's the thing. It's like they'll have powers that operate almost as if they are a psyker, but it's just extremely highly advanced tech that seems like it breaks reality to our feeble minds.
Wow. So like, are they like shooting lightning bolts and like doing like space magic? Because like I assume they can't like, or can they read people's minds? Like, can they affect people psychically?
Oh, absolutely. Here's an example. There's one called the Psychomancer, who is the harbinger of despair. And the Psychomancer has this thing called the Nightmare Shroud. And what he does is a small black cask. And when it is opened, the worst, this is quote on the wiki, the worst terrors of 1,000 eons are unleashed on their foe, assailing the enemies with phantasms of dread as potent as any real danger. So like he opens this like cask, and then everyone around him immediately thinks that they are fucking going to die, and like suicide is like a better alternative, and they'll just like all kill themselves.
Fucking whoa, jeez. Like
yeah,
I was like, man, this is an edgy boy. Psychomancer, harbinger of despair. And he opens,
I'm not even done. I'm not even done. We gotta talk about the Veil of Darkness. With a simple wave of its skeletal hand, the cryptek can summon a billowing sheet of almost intangible shadow, enveloping it and nearby allies before disappearing along with the enshrouded Necrons. And when the darkness ebbs, the cryptek and his comrades have disappeared, only to rematerialize some distance away.
Fucking what?
I know, it's so cool. It's so fucking edgy.
They're so edgy. I love it. Now I'm like, look, I gotta get me a Psychomancer, and I gotta get me a Veil of Darkness. Because
the Veil of Darkness is actually a relic you can take on the tabletop. Basically, what it lets you do is the bearer and one unit get to be removed from the battlefield and set back up anywhere else on the battlefield, a certain distance away from the enemy.
Ooh, that sounds good.
It actually is pretty solid. I like to take it with a giant blob of like warriors and then just drop it right in the face and be like, hello, and just blast them. It's pretty great.
Hello.
So yeah, cryptex are neat. Like, this is shit that you would think is fucking space magic, but in reality, it's just really good tech.
Damn.
Hello. Oh, hello. The Chronomancer are the harbinger of eternity. He has the Chronometron. The bearer of this arcane device exists slightly outside the flow of time, allowing him to glimpse possible futures and modify his recent actions accordingly. A crypt-deck
What?
utilizing a chronometron appears blurred, its movement sudden and spasmodic as a primitive picked reel or degraded hololith. So basically, he's able to appear into time and adjust what he was going to do in case, and he looks like a film reel where he's like constantly jittering like a VCS or VHS. VHS.
That's so
lightning
cool.
fast VCR repair. This is Necrons. How may I help you?
That's so cool, though. So he can just look into the future and be like, "Oh yeah, if I take one step to the right, I'm gonna step on a mine and blow up. So let me go ahead and not do that." Like, how does he ever lose?
Well, of course, there's the assumption that. God damn it, Shy. Lightning fast VCR repair. How do I ever lose?
How do I ever lose? Exactly. Yeah.
Well, I mean, obviously, I'm assuming that you can't just do it forever, and it's not the fact that he like is constantly able to move, but more the idea that he exists, like the device exists, and he can like glimpse these slight features, and it makes him seem a little bit like blurred, but he can still get shot.
Okay.
I think on the tabletop, it allows the Chronomancer to give a unit like a 5-up invul save. And that invulnerable save is the idea that, like, okay, they're like kind of jittering in time, and so they're really hard to hit.
Right.
Or they're just really good at walking aside.
These guys are dope. Like, now I'm just
Cryptex are super dope.
Cryptex. I call them a Cryptarch, but whatever.
Yeah. Cryptex are super dope, and they look fucking awesome. They have a really cool design. They have like they're a little bit more like, I don't know how you say it, but they're a little bit like more well, they look less humanoid. I mean, they're still like bipedal with arm and leg, but they definitely have a little bit more of like a strange look to them. Oh, do you know that one guy we mentioned a bit ago, Illuminor Zaraz? He was the guy who created biotransference. He like tortures Eldar, and he's like, "Your screaming is too loud." Yeah. He's a cryptech.
I suppose that makes sense.
Yeah, they tend to have like that singular eye. They normally only have like one eye. I don't know if that's like there's a reason for that, but they tend to. But yeah, they're pretty nasty. And anyway, that was the whole court, the royal court, cryptex, Necron lords, etc. But I want to talk a little bit about some of the famous dynasties that are around. So in the actual game, there are 6 dynasties that you can play as, and then you can create custom ones. One of my more favorite ones is the Mephrite Dynasty. During the War in Heaven, they were all about stellar destruction, and they possessed the ability to supernova stars.
Oh well, that's
pretty cool, right?
Yeah, that's pretty dope. Yeah, sure.
The Silent King were good fans of them. He would tend to use them whenever he had a world that was a bit troublesome, and he was like, hey, he'd point out to space and they'd see like a giant doomsday weapon. He'd be like, don't fuck with me. And often they would be like, okay, Silent King. Yes, sir, Silent King. We're not going to fight you anymore. We'll join your cause. Yes, sir. I don't want my entire star system to explode.
Whatever you say, sir. Please don't supernova our sun, sir. Please. Whatever you want.
Most Necrons actually didn't like them because Necrons actually have a ironic that we talked about Tau and the Eastern influence, but Necrons are actually very honorable. A lot of Necrons at the time they don't enjoy that kind of supernova because they find it very dishonorable and against the Necron code. But the Mephrite guys didn't give a shit. They liked it. They were like, ooh, you're scared of us? What, little pussy? What are you gonna do? Huh? Boy, star up. Fuck you.
Wow.
they were stoked. They have a cool color scheme. They're you know how Necrons have like that green color?
Yeah.
They actually have like a bright orange because they suck the energy from the stars to power their weapons.
So they're like all orange, or is this they have like an orange glow to them?
Basically take all the green glows you see on a Necron and change it to orange.
Ooh, that'd be pretty dope, actually.
They look really cool.
Yeah, and they're sounds like you don't fuck with them.
No, you tend not to. They're basically the super shooting dynasty. If you're playing them on the tabletop, they are all about their guns. They have like longer ranges, higher armor penetration, they hit harder. All of their guns have like super powerful, really nasty orange orange supernova glows. Their Pharaon was a guy named Kyrek the Eternal. He actually died during the Great Sleep. A bunch of Eldar assassins killed him because they were like, exploding stars, not a fan. And so after that, of course, every overlord was like, well, I guess I gotta be Pharaon now. I was like, no, I guess I gotta be Pharaon now. And they all just started, like, what's that Edda and Eddie thing, like when they get into a fight and like there's like the dust ball with like all the limbs flying around? And that just happened for all of the Mephrite Dynasty. There is one guy though named Zarathusa. Holy shit! Give me a moment.
Oh boy, this is gonna be a good one.
Zarathusa the Ineffable.
Oh, all right.
Zarathusa the Ineffable. You don't F with him. Whatever happened to the drum set, DK? I thought we got rid of it.
I didn't badum-tist, okay? There's no drums. Thank you.
You're welcome. But anyway, oh no, Shai says she's gonna add drums in post.
Fuck.
Anyway, Zarathusa the fucking this guy. He seems like he's the guy who's really wrestling control. He seems to be the guy who's making it. He's kind of an ass. He's really mean.
Oh, okay.
But you know, he's just some dude. Really I don't know. He looks cool. He does look cool. He's neato looking. He has a whole thing with a Shield of Baal campaign, which is a thing with the Blood Angels. He's also, I think they're attempting to fight off the High Fleet Leviathan and stuff. There's a lot of things going on with him, but it's more like Zarathusa.
Oh boy. I'll be in my head. I like to imagine that when he rules, he gets really mad when people can't pronounce his name right. So he's just in this constant state of being upset because nobody can say Zarathusa's right.
That's really very interesting because these guys are robots. They shouldn't have that hard of a time.
Or I like to imagine there's like a Necron that's like Zarth, and then his head just explodes because he just can't get it right.
Because he has like the command protocol, and the first time someone says his name wrong, they just like power down and die.
And he's just surrounded by It's like, why did you kill all these people? It's like, I didn't. They just couldn't say my name.
I programmed it before the Great Sleep. I didn't know it'd be stuck. It was in my earlier days. I was very upset. I'm sorry. Anyway, that's the Mephrite Dynasty. They're pretty cool. There's also the oh boy. Some people call it the Nihilok. Some people call it the Nihilok. I call it the Nihilok because I think it's funnier. The Nihilok took a bunch of treasure from a vast amount of worlds and they hoarded it for themselves under the command of Pharaon Crispek, which is actually originally known as Pharaon Chipsek, but it was British, so now he's Crispek.
I can't take that name seriously.
Anyway, the dynasty, like, it flaunts its giant wealth and strength, but it's become really territorial with its treasures. Mm-hmm. It does not like people getting near its domain. It gets very angry. And so they're slowly making their way forward a little bit, but they're trying to claim more and more for themselves. They've also allied with the Silent King since its return, which is quite nice. And ever since the fall of Cadia, they've began hunting Chaos Forces. They also were one of the main groups that defended the Pariah Nexus, which I should tell you about the Pariah Nexus real quick. Okay. This is something that's very new. Like it came out like a year ago.
Oh, that's super new.
The Pariah Nexus is this area of space. It's also known as the Zone of Silence. And there's this weird material in 40K that's kind of like a MacGuffin. It's called Blackstone. And Blackstone is a warp manipulating substance. Necrons have a vast amount of it. Though the AdMech are starting to really enjoy it because they're like, ooh, I'm gonna study. Beep, boop.
Weirdos.
But the Necrons love it, and it's a really good way to get a whole lot of, I guess, like, it's a good way to manipulate the warp. Like, there were giant pylons on Cadia that were made of Blackstone, which I'll talk more about in the Fall of Cadia episode in like 4 years or whatever the hell we get to that. But
so how does this Blackstone like manipulate the warp exactly? Like if you have a piece of it, Like how are you manipulating the warp with this material?
Well, the wiki itself states that it's very highly resistant to the powers of the warp, and it's known to hold back like the empiric energies of it. I don't think there's any like real like reason why. It's just this rock does this. You know, I mean,
special properties.
Yeah, it's just special properties. But the main thing, like for instance, like Illuminor Zaraz has a big chunk of blackstone on his model, and I believe it's like a little blackstone, like a weird like emitter type deal. And so when psychers are near him, they have a higher chance of having like problems because he's got this little piece on him. The Pariah Nexus is a region of space that, after using large amounts of blackstone arrays, are cutting off huge amount. Yeah, it's basically warp kryptonite. Blackstone is warp kryptonite. That's the best way to describe it.
I thought it was more of like a shield, a warp shield, but yeah, okay, yeah, kryptonite.
It's more like kryptonite because it makes like psychers makes them suffer. But basically, they're creating this giant like. It's really cool, and it's actually fucking terrifying. They create this array of blackstone around this area of space known as the Pariah Nexus. And in these areas, demons and warp creatures are having insane issues of even passing this region of space. Like they can't even like get through it in general. And everything inside the region feels like they're currently next to a Sister of Silence. Like, there are tons of human worlds in the Pariah Nexus, and it slowly drains, like, the minds of the people there to where basic human functions just kind of go away. So, there'll be, like, a full world, and then people will just kind of start moving slower, and then they just, like, won't eat. And then they just won't move, and then they'll just kind of, like, wilt and die, and they'll just, like, all stop.
That is terrifying.
And so a whole world will just be turned into bones. Like there won't be a sign of a battle. There won't be a sign of anything. Like people just lose like the will to live, and then they just stop, and they just lay down and die.
Okay, that reminds me of Serenity when they find that Reaver homeworld where all of the berserkers are gone, but the only people that are left are the people that went like. They're just like, they've become so docile that they just don't care to move anymore, and they just grew old in their chair, and they're just dead.
What's Serenity?
You ever see Firefly? The series Firefly? It's like the canon movie ending because it got canceled.
Oh, I didn't know about that one. I only saw like up to episode 5 or so of Firefly.
It's a good movie. It's a good movie.
Is it a good movie? Is it worth it for the people who are like, Firefly was the greatest thing ever and we lost it?
Yeah, I think so. I thought Serenity was pretty good. Oh, I wasn't a huge Firefly fan, but whatever.
Oh god. It's when I watched it like 3 years ago, so it's pretty recent. When I watched that, I was like, you know, this is the production quality is really low. But it's got that Mass Effect charm. It's like Mass Effect 1.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it's got that charm and it's got that good story and it's got the good characters, but everything else around it is a little bit jank.
It's got Nathan Fillion.
It's got Nathan Fillion. It's like pretty sure he's sick of listening to people talk about Firefly. It's like that was 20 years ago. I'm over it. I want to be Cade 6 now. Oh wait.
Oh wait, no I don't.
Oh no, I don't. Anyway, enough about Firefly. Though I'm pretty sure Warhammer fans love Firefly.
Probably.
I'm sure someone in the comments section right now is just like, oh my god, Firefly. That's my favorite show ever. I will never forgive you, Fox.
And then I don't remember who it was.
I don't remember. I'll never forgive you.
Same guy's like, how dare you, Serenity was a travesty or something. And it's like, oh no, what have I done?
Yeah, I'm imagining someone is going to be like really upset.
Yep. How dare you like Serenity?
Anyway, that's a Firefly thing.
Yep.
Right now, there's no Firefly. There's only pain. So anyway, the entire Pariah Nexus area of space is like being cut off from the warp in areas. And since the Necrons don't have souls, they kind of don't care. Naturally. So they are basically able to take a section of space and remove it from like chaos and the warp.
That's I bet that comes in handy.
It's extremely handy, and
Yeah.
like there's no chaos in here, or at least there's like damn few, and any chaos that there is there has a really hard time operating. Like they've done what is basically the impossible, which is create a null zone in space where chaos and the warp cannot function.
That's a big deal.
It's a very big deal.
That's so if they made enough, like, could they make more of these Pariah of Nexuses? And just cancel the warp in a majority of space?
I don't know. The thing is that so the Pariah Nexus is just like the term for like this section of space. It's like around maybe 20 or 30 planets, give or take. It looks like. Honestly, I have no idea. My assumption is they probably can, but it's also most likely very, very, very like I won't say expensive, but that much Blackstone probably is not extremely easy to get. And also, we remember the Necron forces are kind of small in a sense. True. So I'm not quite sure. I know that the Imperium was there and trying to cause problems for the Pariah Nexus. It was actually a source of frustration that Luton had, because there's a particular sister who's kind of like a psyker, but she was in the Nexus and she was using her abilities, like the faith abilities, and like, but I thought the faith was supposed to be taken from the warp, but if this thing cuts off the warp, like, and so that's, I'm not that big of a lore person to give a shit, but I know it set him into a tizzy. he was very upset.
Poor Luton.
Poor Luton.
Poor Luton.
Anyway, that's the Necron Dynasty. They've been kind of making their way out. Here's a cool one. There's Nephrek. They are noticed. Yeah, dude. If you like that image of that kid in the high school class with like the vein popping out of his forehead, where he's like sweating really hard. That's GW writers or any Necron guy who can't put a KH in their name. It's always KH. Anyway,
all of these names very Egyptian. Like Nephrek is like that sounds like an Egyptian like pharaoh or something.
Oh yeah, well I mean that's the whole Necrons. They have giant pyramids and scarabs. Yeah. But anyway, they're located near the galactic core, that allows for a lot of energy. But their main goal isn't to become flesh and blood, but to become beings of pure light.
Oh. That's an interesting goal for a robot.
It is. They've been fighting the Thousand Sons consistently lately, actually. Magnus and the Thousand Sons are trying to steal or figure out the technology on how they turn the Catan into slaves.
Oh.
And so they want to get that for themselves for whatever fucking purpose that could be for.
Just mass destruction, and well, why would you want
pocket-sized
gods? I thought we were done with the drums, man.
Go, Zinch Pokeball, go! But they use the stars in the galactic core to power up the weaponry, kind of like Mephrite, but they're able to actually become that pure light for short periods of time, allowing them to like blink across the battlefield in literally a blink and teleport through solid matter and shit. In the game, they can like move through certain objects and shit just by like blinking through it. It's pretty neat. So
they actually do become beings of light for a short period of time. Like they can
for a very short.
Oh, that's pretty dope, actually.
Yeah, they have like bright gold armor. They're really bougie looking.
I was gonna say at first I was like, look, if they're fighting the Thousand Sons, I have to hate them because those are the first minis I bought. I gotta represent, but they sound really cool. these light beings, robots, sound really cool.
Nephrek are pretty cool. They're probably one of the weaker factions in game, but they are pretty neat. Oh, speaking of good factions though, Novok and KH.
KH.
Back in the days before biotransference, they had the custom of adorning their faces and arms with the blood of their enemies.
Oh, boy.
So they've got a red face armor is their main like robot skeletons is all in red. They're like super brutal butchers. They're like sharks. They're mellow, and then once blood is spilled, their like engrams go haywire. They turn into like killing machines. Currently,
so they're like robot berserkers.
They're like robot sharky berserkers. Yep.
Sick.
They're super cool. They're currently engaged with thousands of orcs. And they're also engaged against the Tyranids because they deem that all organic life must die.
That sounds very Necron. Sure. Yeah,
very
okay.
Necron-y. And they're actually, they've unfortunately grabbed the attention of a certain man known as Mortarium, who has released a biomechanical thing called the Ferric Blight and destroyed like 4 tomb worlds by having this mechanical blight just ravage the planet whole. So they pissed off the wrong man.
Yeah, it seems like in 40k, out of all of the Chaos Gods or factions that you could piss off, you really don't want to piss off the Death Guard, Mortarion, or Grandpa Nurgle. I mean, not that the other ones are great, but ooh, boy, they seem to really fuck.
They do. And if, like, that's the thing, is, you know, you can kill the Khorne guys, but then Nurgle's rockets in there, and it's really, you need a lot of, like, hand sanitizer.
Yeah, a lot
you
of,
really
got to
work on
distancing, that. Masks, the whole 9 yards for them.
And then you try that, and then this giant winged dude with a scythe comes down and just kills you. It's like, shit, why did I even bother? So after that, you have the Zarikan Dynasty. This is the main one of the Silent King. They look kind of like brass colored. He took a large amount of his royal court into the Galactic Void with him. The Tomb Worlds, without him being there, have kind of suffered. Eldar attacks, warp storms, etc. He's finally come back, though, and he's reawakening them all pretty quickly. A lot of them aren't pleased. Some are like, oh my god, our savior's back, let's go. Some of them are like, you left us, fuck you. And then he just forces them down anyway, so it doesn't really matter.
Nice.
They're generally subject pretty quickly, but they're the new kids on the block. The Zarikan was added just in this recent Necron Codex, and you know, it's the main one of the Silent King, and he just came back finally, so it makes sense.
Yeah.
And then lastly, we have Sautek. Sautek is the classic silver and green that you see everywhere.
The
82
OGs.
worlds. The third most powerful dynasty before biotransference. Big and bad number 1 now. Their Pharaoh is Imhotep the Stormlord, who is an absolute Chad, who was like, Silent King, you are a coward and a bitch. I will never join you. Fuck off. And the scary thing is he actually has the say to do that because he's a lot stronger with his Tomb Worlds than the Silent King currently is.
Oh, really?
Oh, he's got a lot of Tomb Worlds. Okay, like, Imhotep, he made his way to power because everyone above him was completely, what's the word again for, incompetent. Was very incompetent, and he said, all right, I'm just going to kill all of you and take it for myself. And he's been hard at work killing the Imperium, and is hyper expansionist, and he's going all the way out. He wants to full on return the galaxy to Necron rule, and he legitimately has like the go ahead. He has the power because the Silent King is back and he's gaining followers, and he's pretty scary. But Imhotep is a big force, and well, he's not gonna like try to kill the king because that just feels counterintuitive. Like, why war against each other?
Right.
But he's like, Imhotep is like the Admech back in the days of the like Great Crusade, or maybe the king is like the Admech. I don't know. Point being is that regardless, it's like, okay, I guess we could fight, but maybe we shouldn't.
I'm trying to remember, like, because obviously his name Imhotep is very close to Emotep.
Yes.
And I think Emotep was very similar, where like he was a pretty strong, well-known priest, and he did a lot of backstabbing and betraying because he thought he was better and stronger than the Pharaoh. So
sounds about right.
That Emotep is kind of his namesake, I suppose. Although I'm sure I'm gonna get actualied for that because I don't remember what Emotep actually did.
It's whatever. Imhotep is a neat guy. He's actually the Pharaoh of the Sautek Dynasty. He's the big bad. Mm-hmm. He is the guy. You can actually use him in game too.
Ooh, is he good?
He is like, yes. So Sautek Dynasty in game is considered one of the weaker ones. But it's one of those ones where like you read it and you're like, this seems kind of meh. But then you get access to Imatech and Nemesis Zandrek, because Zandrek is part of the Southtech dynasty. And then you're like, oh, wait a minute. These guys are insane. So it's one of those things where you don't take it for the special rules, you take it for the characters.
Okay.
Imatech is pretty insane. He is a hyper grand strategist, probably the greatest strategic mind in the galaxy.
That's
like everybody, possibly. Whenever he like attacks, it is literally impossible to determine if it is the main force or if it's a decoy to bleed reinforcements and turn back. And with like a millisecond, his mind can change because of his commands and the way his protocols are. He's versatile. He has millions of feints and counter strategies, and he's got contingency plans. And he is a master general.
Wow.
Here, we gotta do a quote, of course.
Oh yeah, gotta do quotes. Do it.
Let me tell you of my future. My hand will reach out into the stars, reshaping the galaxy into a place of order and unity. Under my reign, the kingdoms of old shall live again, reborn to an age of power and glory, the like of which you can only imagine. I will rule every planet touched by the light of this star, and even in the darkness beyond, my name will be whispered with fear and respect. Is it order, unity, obedience? We taught the galaxy these things long ago, and we will do so again. Imatech is a boss. He's super cool.
That is a hell of a speech. That's a rallying cry. Jesus Christ.
I mean, his weapon's called the Staff of the Destroyer. He has a flamethrower built into his hand called the Gauntlet of Fire. The guy literally can call lightning strikes on planets with no fucking lightning. The guy is insane. That's why he's called the Stormlord. In the tabletop, you can call a lightning strike to do damage to your enemy. It's so cool.
How exactly does that work? How does he just call lightning from nowhere? Is that
Necrons.
like Necrons? What is that? Like
Necrons.
Cryptek
Yeah,
gave him some
Cryptek
shit
can
that
see
was...
through time. Who gives a shit? Necrons.
Necrons, let's go. So when you play Necrons in the tabletop, like, do you have to play like a specific dynasty? Because I'm assuming you can't just be like, oh yeah, I'm gonna just mix dynasties. Like, do you have to stick to like one?
I mean, you can kind of mix them, but you actually lose some benefits if you stay only one. They have a new thing called command protocols. It's like an extra buff. So if you mix them, you can be like, I want to run one patrol of Novak and one patrol of Southtech, which patrols are like how you create your stuff. But normally you like to run one because it allows you to gain the benefits of said group.
Right.
Southtech is pretty good in the case of the characters because you can only run Imatech and like Nemesis Zandrek if you want kooky old man Necron. If you want to run him, which I actually painted him like yesterday. If you want to run him, you have to run Southtech. So. Imatech is super cool. He's super cool.
So if you want the named characters, you have to run their dynasty.
Yeah, certain named characters. It's kind of the same way with a few other factions as well. Like I can only run Lord Creed of the Imperial Guard if I run Cadia, you know.
Right. It's not like you could run like the Silent King and Emotech.
Well, you can actually. The issue is that only one of them can be your major warlord.
Oh, right. Fair.
It's also a little redundant because if Imatech is your warlord, you get a bunch of benefits. But if the Silent King is your warlord, you get a bunch of benefits. So it's like, why lose one? You know, just take one or the other. Also, they hate each other.
Yeah, I was going to say, like, there should be some rule where, like, they cannot be on the same team because they despise each other.
Yeah. There's actually a couple things about the other Necrons, because those are the main dynasties at the moment. There's a few other things. I want to talk a little bit about Necrodermis real quick, and I also want to talk about a few of the units, because we kind of talk about some of the specific units, and if you'd like to learn a little bit more about the Cryptex, I can tell you more about them too.
Ooh, I do actually.
Good, because I like the Cryptex a lot. So there's like so the main thing when you think about Necrons is of course the robots, but there's a thing in the game called reanimation protocols. That's the main selling point. And it's this thing that the Necrons have called Necrodermis. It's often described as living metal. And the name literally means corpse skin, Necrodermis, you know?
Yeah. I was going to say dermis sounds like your skin.
Yeah, endodermis. But basically what it is, it's adapted to create the bodies of the Catan, but it's like a strange, unknown chemical molecular structure that's almost like a flowing metal. And so sometimes it can act almost like a liquid, or sometimes like a solid. So sometimes you'll like shoot a Necron dead and it'll fall over, and then it'll just kind of like the lights on it will relight up, and it'll just kind of stand right back up like a zombie.
Ooh,
so
that's
in
bad.
in the tabletop, often like if you kill maybe 10 Necrons, I'll have to roll my reanimation protocols, and for every like 5 or up, let's say I roll 3, then 3 of them just go like and they get back up again. So it makes the Necrons really tanky. And then they have like characters like a Technomancer, which is a crypt deck. And you can go to the Necron Warriors and be like, okay, you can revive up to 3 of them. And they just get right back up with their living metal. Necrons have an ability where if any of them have lost any health, then when it's your turn, they regenerate 1 health because their living metal is repairing itself.
Oh boy, that's...
So they're like a counterpunch. You know,
Damn.
you try to shoot them down or beat them down, they just get right back up.
Correct me if I'm wrong, but I think in like the last Necron episode, didn't you say like originally the Necrons were kind of based on like Terminator?
Oh yeah, because reanimation protocols was originally called "Will Be Back."
Right. It sounds an awful lot like liquid metal sounds an awful lot like a T-1000 thing to me. So I'm just like,
it absolutely does.
If they started off as Terminators, now they have liquid metal that can just like be liquid or harden into like a weapon or repair them.
Yeah, it's a little weird. It's not super liquidy. They still are generally pretty like metal boys, but it has the ability to like almost seem like it flows in a weird way.
It's cool.
Like it's super cool. Necron Warriors are obviously your main like frontline troops of the Necrons. They have no autonomy. They are completely mentally bound to the commander's will. Outside of very small instructions, they have almost no tactical awareness. And that's the whole point, is that Necron Warriors are just like hundreds of them are instantaneously moved and fired and used entirely by the Overlord's will. He just kind of like uses the command protocols in his head and just has them adjust in milliseconds. And the creepiest thing about Necrons, silent.
Oh yeah, well I guess they wouldn't be talking, would they? Because they're just they're being it's the Overlord that's doing everything and moving them and making them fire. So
they move in like lockstep, all in the exact same movement with no words, and then until you hear like the powering of their weapons, it's pretty terrifying.
I never thought about how terrifying that would be to see on like a battlefield where every soldier is just moving in like complete unison and not saying anything, and it's just like one big well-oiled machine. Ooh.
And then they get shot, and then they get right back up.
Oh, gross. So if you managed to take out the Overlord, would all of the subservient like Necrons just power down?
No, not necessarily. I'm sure they've got command stuff on like ships in orbit or like the monoliths and stuff.
Oh, okay.
Though I do believe you will cause problems. It's kind of like killing a big bug in Tyranids. It's like a link that might have an issue. In the tabletop, it makes you lose out on some buffs and some abilities, but overall, it's not a huge difference. Though I'm pretty sure there will be some issues will occur, but I mean, good luck killing the Overlord behind his legions of fucking warriors.
That are all moving in unison and do whatever he wills,
and who are getting back up. Oh, I was looking at the quote for the Warriors, and I was like, hey, look, one from Imitech again.
Hey!
What care I that my legions are faceless? Identity matters only to those who have the ability to think. My immortals in Lichguard, perhaps. Lords and Cryptex, certainly. For the remainder of my vessels, well, suffice to say that the concept of glory is wasted on the inglorious.
That's a great quote.
He's a prick. He's cool, though.
He's a super prick, but he's right. Like,
he is?
None of them have any real, like, identity. They don't care. They have no autonomy. Like, they're so bound to the Overlord. What do they fucking care about glory or identity or whatever? They're just
There's
drones.
They have lots of different interesting weapons in the Necron arsenal. Gauss Blasters are their main this is the main weapon for the main, the main Necron is a Gauss weapon. And a Gauss weapon strips the target down to its very molecules and then reduces it into its subsequent atoms in seconds.
Oh.
So you become atomized when you get shot by Necrons.
Oh God! And that's their main weapon. So they have a lot of these. It's not like that's just one special guy in the back that only one person. Like all of them can do that.
Yeah. Actually, I think Shai posted a GIF of the cinematic where it happens. You might want to click on it because it's not registering. That's actually, I think, it's actually a very accurate description or visual description of what a Gauss weapon does. Because it just immediately burns it down to its atoms. It's pretty horrifying.
Yep. Oh God, that is that's a really cool effect though.
That's the basic weapon. That is the lowest. Warriors carry that. That is the lowest level weapon that Necrons carry. There's also.
I was about to say, how does it get worse than a deatomizer?
Well, let me tell you, DK. So we got one of my favorite guns, which is called the Tesla carbine. And the Tesla, it fires lightnings, that arrive and then cracks around, which melts armor and has it fuse to skin beneath, and just char the flesh off the bone. But as they consistently arc, and this electricity arcs more and more, almost like it has a mind of its own, crackling around the object that it's being fired at. It actually has very low armor penetration, but I love it in the tabletop because it has good strength. But the gimmick is that if you roll your dice, let's say you need a hit on 3s and you roll 2 3s and a 6, for every 6 you roll, you get 2 extra hits. So normally, if you got 3 hits, you would then roll 3 more times to hurt the person. But because you got 1 6, you actually roll 5 because it's the 2, the 6, and then the 2 extra. And so sometimes I'll roll these and I'll get 4 6s, and I'm like, wow, cool, 8 more hits coming your way. Lightning.
Light them up. Light them up. God, that just sounds horrible. Though. That just melts the armor to your flesh and yeah,
it's nasty.
Jeez, that's gross.
Let's
That's
not
whenever
forget
there's a heat gun that's just oh yeah, it's literally baking you inside of your armor. And it's jeez, yeah, your flesh just melts because you're getting roasted in your own armor. It's ow.
Real nasty.
Ow.
Let's not forget about the flayed ones. Do you remember the flayed ones?
Are they the ones that literally wear human flesh or something?
You know it.
Yes, scrote cloth. Let's go.
Let's go. The Night Lords are big fans. They got gigantic, long, dangly, knife fingers, and they are just ooh, let me wear it, because they've got some kind of flayed one virus, which makes them hunger for flesh that makes no sense because they're robots.
Yeah, they're robots. Yeah. Is that a picture of one that Shai just posted covered in that mini? That thing is horrific.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. That's that looks like it's a custom made one. As far as I'm aware, the more recent flayed ones, they actually just recently had a new kit come out, and they do look pretty good. This is super recent.
Oh,
they're really nasty, and they look fucking awesome. I am so happy with the flayed ones update.
I love and hate the fact that there is a very obvious face on his shoulder.
I know, right? Isn't it cool?
That is both amazing and so disturbing. I love it.
He wants his flesh. It lowers enemy leadership. They get a whole bunch of effects with their killing. If they kill fleshy targets, not vehicles. Pretty great. Pretty
slick. Oh, jeez. I would. Speaking of things, I would definitely not want to see on the battlefield or have to fight on the battle. That's crazy, though. Like, it's like, oh, yeah, do you have to really worry about the atomizer? Sure. Do you have to worry about a lightning Gauss cannon? Yeah, of course you do. But then you also gotta worry about these fuckers. They're gonna slit your face off and use it as ornaments for their armor. Is there anything you don't have to worry about? And then, like, it's all bad. Oops,
it's all
nightmares.
Oops, only nightmares.
Yeah, oops, all nightmares. Great. Fucking
we can't stop now, though. We gotta talk about destroyer cults.
Of course we do.
So there's a Necron virus, which is known as the destroyer cult virus. Which or it's destroyer destroyer virus. I forget the name of it, but basically it's turned this entire cult of these special kinds of Necrons whose only goal is the eradication of all life, of all life in general. It's all they want, and these are known as the destroyers. Now, there's a couple of these. There's they recently came up with melee variants. The ones that Shai is posting are the Necron destroyers and destroyer lords. They generally have gigantic fuck off anti-tank weapons. That's the mini I have. That's called the Locust Heavy Destroyer. He's chunk. He's chunk.
He is. And he's got a chunky gun. Jesus Christ.
Oh yeah, he do. You want more quotes, DK?
Bullets? Yes.
You want more quotes?
Hit me with a quote.
All right. The destroyers, ? They are weapons, nothing more, and should be expended as such. They are Necron in form only, having been reborn to a madness deeper than any other to which I have borne witness. Whilst I held nothing but approval for their drive and efficiency, I can present no logic adequate to justify their ultimate goal. A warrior's proper function is to fight for a profound objective, to leave behind works or deeds greater than himself. Given free rein, the destroyers would leave behind nothing, not life, nor art, nor glory, only dust would remain. I am a soulless machine, yet even I feel pity for their victims. Quote unquote Zarak, the Silent King.
Holy shit.
He's like, he's like, dude, you're not like, at least fight for something. These guys just want to kill everybody.
I'm a soulless machine and even I pity them. Like, whoa.
Another reason why the Silent King is a Chad.
Yeah. God damn. So what the fuck is in that gigantic cannon that destroyer's got? Like, is that
death?
Just a giant deatomizer?
I think.
Yeah, fair.
Okay, hold on. I gotta pull my phone out real fast. I got this. So okay. that is a Locust Heavy Destroyer. Is a brand new model that was just recently released, and the Locust Heavy Destroyer carries that gun is known as the Gauss Destructor. He also has another weapon called the Animitic Exterminator, if he so feels like it. It is basically one shot. It's a one-shot send you back to your mother cannon. It is pretty great.
I like that. Send you back to your mother cannon. Yep.
Like, a lot of the Necron anti-tank stuff does insane damage, but it's very low shot. It's like, you gotta sink that shot in there. Mm-hmm. There's also, like, there's different kinds of arcs. Like, there's the Doomsday Arc and the Ghost Arc, which are these, like, kind of, look really funny. There's these super cool, like, what do they call it? Like Egyptian arcs that carry a whole bunch of warriors. Very similar to, like, the arcs you would see in ancient Egypt, like, on the water.
Oh, right.
You have, like, command barges and annihilation barges. But I actually, there's a lot of stuff right there that's pretty cool. But I want to talk a little bit more about the Cryptek stuff. Because not just Cryptex, but there's also things called Canoptic Units. And Canoptic Units were always like a supplementary force, but you can kind of make one in your own right now if you feel like it. Canoptic are these kinds of, they're very much like subservient robots in the sense of they're used for tools. They're like servitors, I suppose, but in different variants. Mm-hmm. They're meant to be more like bug-like and more like like drones.
Oh, okay. So we talking like scarabs?
Yeah, so the little scarabs are known as Canoptic Scarabs. That's their full name.
Gotcha.
Canoptic Scarab swarms. And these Canoptic units are generally seen over by Cryptex.
Okay.
And that's kind of thing is like an overlord will see over a domain of warriors, where a crypt deck will see over the domain of canoptic units.
Right.
Pray that the night is upon us, for if this twilight is the work of the Necrons, we are all dead men. Lieutenant Krakos of like the Imperial Guard. Like,
Oof.
there's things like the Scarabs, which we all know they eat anything and everything. And if they eat anything and everything, they turn it into any materials. There's Canoptic Spiders, which are used to refill Scarabs and cause other problems. There's Canoptic Wraiths, which are really creepy. They have like a Wraith whip coil body, and they like transfer between fucking walls, and they can like slither through objects in like a Wraith form. They look like giant murdery Wraiths. They're really cool.
Those are really cool. Those minis are
one of
dope.
my favorite ones, I say favorite a lot, but fuck you, I like it, is the more recent edition called the Canoptic Doomstalker, and it's a gigantic War of the Worlds with a giant like fuck you gun on the top.
Oh my, that is definitely War of the Worlds. There's
It's
no
so
mistaking
cool.
that's where they got the inspiration from, but fucking Jesus.
It is easily War of the Worlds. It is so cool. It is so big.
God.
And like I mean, obviously it has 4 legs, not 3, so it's not quite a tripod, but who gives a shit? It's War of the Worlds.
It's very clearly only Tom Cruise can stop that thing.
Thank God for Tom Cruise.
Thank God. He stopped the Necron
Listen,
invasion by
Imatek, the
himself.
Stormlord. Listen, Imatek. The reason you haven't conquered the galaxy is because you don't believe in Scientology.
Oh, Tom Cruise, you'll never live that down.
oh, Tom Cruise.
Tom Cruise.
So I got 2 more things I want to talk about. I want to talk a little bit more about Cryptex, and then I want to go over a little bit of what the Silent King has
Okay.
on his pimp machine.
Yes, the Silent King and his pimp machine. Let's fucking go.
It's important. So
It's important.
So let's see, the cryptex. So the cryptex that we currently have in game are they all end with Mancer. It's Technomancer, Psychomancer, Chronomancer, and Plasmancer. There's also 2 other ones called the Ethermancer and the Alchemist, which is the only one that doesn't have Mancer in it, apparently. But the Technomancer is very much the recreation and handling / managing, excuse me, of Canoptic units, as well as the Necrons themselves. The whole point, especially on the tabletop, is to regenerate all the different kinds of units, revive them, the usual. On the picture that Shai posted, he's the second from the left, the guy who's given the little peace sign. The guy on the far left is the Chronomancer. That's the time guy, the harbinger of eternity. For instance, he has something called the Time Splinter Cloak, which is a weave of disparate strands of time, creating a shield against any attack that does not originate from the time stream of this precise moment.
Okay.
Which, all right.
Okay. All right. That's cool. Nice cloak, bro.
The far right is the Psychomancer. That's the guy we mentioned earlier with the Nightmare Shroud and morale and stuff. The other guy on the second to the right is known as the Plasmancer. He's the harbinger of destruction. I like him because he's got a little pointy finger. And he's like pointing at you. He's like, ooh, you.
I'm gonna get you.
He's got something called the Gaze of Flame, which is hidden weaponry inside their own bodies. And basically what would happen is that when in battle, the eyes of the Cryptech, who has granted himself the Gaze of Flame, has like an unnatural ghostly fire. He also has like solar flares and solar pulses, and he'll like he has an ability where he just points at a unit in the fucking tabletop and he just does damage to them. And it's called like Harbinger of Destruction or some bullshit like that.
It's a fitting name. It's a good name for someone that just
I think it really is called that. Yeah, Harbinger of Destruction. Yeah, point at guy, do damage. Like living lightning, if you're near him, it like zaps him. It's just so silly.
Jesus.
The
These guys
Ethermancer.
fuck, Jesus
Oh, they
Christ.
fuck so hard. They're so cool.
God damn.
Ethermancer's all about lightning, crackling fields of lightning and arcs of lightning, storm clouds appearing out of nowhere. And then, of course, there's the Alchemists, which is the Harbinger of Transmogrification, which it has like the Harp of Dissonance, which is a harp-like casket that has perfect, precise levels of tension, and when a note is properly played, it'll burst the molecular bonds of any material.
Oh!
So he's like,
wow.
Bring, carbon is now dead, fuck you, bring.
Whoa! I mean, these guys are insane.
So Necrons are like I mentioned before, right? Numbers and their sleeping problem is the only reason why these guys do not rule the galaxy.
Yeah, I mean, even with their small numbers, I imagine there's still a big problem, because holy shit, look at what they got. Like,
Yeah,
if all the Tomb Worlds woke up, it's fucking over. There's no fight. They win. Like,
Yep.
that's it.
100%. 100%. There is no surviving.
Jesus. I didn't realize, like, I knew the Necrons were beefy, I knew they had some cool shit, but oh my god. Especially the Cryptex are like, how do you fight that?
I mean, that's the thing, is the Cryptex don't tend to enjoy being on the battlefield much because they're like they're nerds, they're scientists, and they're working on stuff. But I mean, often, you know, how do you fight that? Well, when you play the Imperial Guard, you gotta have like 9,000 guns, and eventually, it doesn't matter. One of those happens to be in the right timeline, and you get fucked.
They just happen to be in the right timeline.
Oh shit! Oh, we forgot about the Hex Mark Destroyer. Hex Mark Destroyer, let's go. Okay, this is a dude, right? It's a dude, and he's got a bunch of pistols. All right, he's got six. He's part of the Destroyer cult. He's got 6 pistols, 6 separate pistols, and with each pistol that he has, he's got like all these little arms, and he hits like a cowboy man, and he has all these like little guns. And he fires them out into different kinds of areas, and he's basically doing the Reaper thing from Overwatch, where he's just firing them in all directions.
Oh, he's just spinning around. Please tell me all 6 of his arms have 6 shooters. They're all 6 shooters, 6 arms. Please.
I think they're just single shot pistols, but it doesn't matter. He's still Cowboy Man.
Yeah, he's still a cowboy for sure.
He's super cool. He just pops in. He's just got like all of his guns. And he's like, yeehaw, or beat boot partner. I'll blast you.
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't mention
blasting, but yeah, he's cool. Wait. That's a sick mini.
He's a sick ass mini. I didn't mention one last one. Death marks.
Oh,
I gotta talk about death
fun.
marks. They're snipers.
Oh, okay.
They're snipers and assassins, and they lurk in hyperspace, which is in a separate dimension of the area that they're currently at. And what happens is that they'll lurk in wait, and then they'll materialize directly into the dimension that they're supposed to be in, and immediately like fucking snipe out an enemy commander, and then just rematerialize back into their dimension and go away.
What a bunch of cheaters.
I know, they just go like, zip, blam, zip.
Zip. Can't see me. Oh my, that's fucked. Jesus.
They're actually in Warhammer Mechanicus, and they're the most annoying enemy in the whole game. If you like walk past them, they shoot you as an Overwatch, and then they teleport somewhere else on the map. They are complete degenerates.
Man. Like that, it's just the Necrons have so much good shit.
Mm-hmm. Did you know that Nemesaur Zandrak hates death marks? He considers them to be cheating because he's an honorable robot and he's a
I was gonna say
man.
because they're dishonorable and they're hiding in another realm, and you're a bunch of fucking loser cheaters because you can't fight the honorable way. And yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah, it's a very Nemesaur Zandrak thing.
Mm-hmm.
There's also Lich Guard. Lich Guard are the personal bodyguards of like the overlords and pharaons. Mm-hmm. Like pure loyalty. These guys are really cool, but at this point, I think we've covered a lot of Necron stuff between the Cryptex and the Overlords and King is. I thought I had more to talk about with the King, but I realized I didn't. There's not a whole lot of talk about his get up and his pimp thing, besides the fact that a fucking Catan is on it.
Yeah, he's just got a god ornament, a former god ornament, just like it's like
hamster. It's like his hamster on a wheel. It's like keep moving. Oh, I guess we should talk about monoliths.
Okay,
I guess we should talk about monoliths and maybe like Tesseract vaults too.
Sure.
Oh yeah, because we didn't really talk about monoliths in the original, did we? Oh yeah. I guess so. Okay, so monoliths are a very I would be very upset if I didn't talk about monoliths because they're important. A monolith is a giant fucking pyramid, and it's a massive mobile fortress that arrives from the sky and will immediately start teleporting Necrons into battle just at will.
Oh boy.
They are huge pyramids that float across the battlefield with tons of guns. And they are nigh unkillable because they just keep on regenerating their armor. And there's a thing called, I think I mentioned this before, there's a thing called the Eternity Gate, which allows the Necrons to just spill out from anywhere. Like it's an entire mobile assault. You know, because they take the Necron Warriors from a Toon world, like 3 star systems away, and just just let them flow out of the monolith. But God. Their Eternity Gate also operates as like a weapon, so the Necron monolith in melee can attack a Space Marine and they suck him through the gate, and they just teleport him in the middle of space somewhere where he'll never be seen again.
Oh, that's messed up.
It is, but it's kind of funny. He's just like, boop, boop, and they just out in the middle of space, and he's like, he just dies.
If you see a monolith, you know that trouble is a-coming, and it's time to maybe get off-world.
Monolith is the true testament to your planet is being invaded. Full-on invasion. Prepare yourself. Because you kill that monolith now, or it's going to keep on spawning warriors, and it will not stop.
Mm-hmm. Also, if it's a pyramid, why is it called a monolith? Why don't they just call it a pyramid?
Because same reason they call him Imhotep and not whatever, just because they don't want to be too obvious, I guess.
I guess there were monoliths in Egyptian time, weren't there? Big monoliths. I don't know. It's fucking
I don't know.
Semantics. Semantics. Who fucking cares? It's cool.
It's whatever. There's also the Tesseract vault, which is something really neato. It's the gigantic vault that holds a Catan inside.
Holy shit, that's a I don't know, can you really call that a mini?
Yeah, a mini, right? But it's basically a giant power station that holds the Catan inside, but also allows it to amplify its powers. So the Catan becomes even way stronger. It's pretty nasty. It's not very good on the tabletop because it's too expensive, but it's still pretty nasty. And I don't even really think we need to talk about the Catan, do we? Because we know what the Catan do. They have gigantic, insane powers that defy reality.
Oh yeah.
Because that's the whole point.
What does that little Catan bindy thing do exactly? Does it it uses the Catan's powers and it amplifies them for the Necrons?
It's a Shemovan prison. It is a prison of the Catan that is just taking him around the battlefield and is like, dude, kill things.
Okay, so essentially that's how they use a Catan to kill other people. They've got him in prison to do their bidding. So he's using his Catan powers that are being amplified by the prison for Necron bidding.
Yeah, and the Catan powers are ridiculous. Like, the Transcendent Catan is able to unleash a huge meteor composed of entirely antimatter to fall from the sky and annihilate all normal matter in range. Creates with a flick of his hand, creates earthquakes that crush people. Sky of falling stars, rains blazing meteorites from the sky into the ground. It's just like
I wanna rewind here for a second. Did you say he can make a meteor out of antimatter?
Yeah, it's called antimatter meteor. That's the power. It's a thing in game.
It's a legit meteor-sized thing of antimatter.
Of antimatter.
That's a planetary destruction. Antimatter explosions are no joke.
They're not exploding it. He's just throwing it at you.
Right, but once it collides, shouldn't it just and just
it's
destroy
Warhammer.
the solar system?
Wait, is that the problem? Time's arrow, mutating the flow of causation and remolding the temporal stream of space-time continuum. The Catan casts its foe back into the darkness before time was time, erasing them from existence as if they had never been. But the antimatter's the problem here.
I didn't realize that was a thing too. Okay, in all fairness. And the only reason I bring that up is because I used to Warframe a lot, and my favorite frame is Nova Prime. She has the antimatter drop, and it's a small little ball of antimatter. And the conversation was always like, "Oh yeah, if there was one Warframe that was real, who would be the most devastating?" It was like, it's Nova because she's making antimatter and she is exploding it. That is a big boom, and that's planetary destruction potentially. So I'm just like, there's a meteor-sized version of that.
Yeah.
That's like,
I mean,
that's like your solar system is done. Like, holy shit.
It's pretty nutty. All the Catan powers are just bullshit. Like, as a Gorod, the Nightbringer, he has one called Gaze of Death. And whenever he does, he looks at you. and then you just die.
You gotta keep those stoner shades on so he can't see you, right?
you gotta put on those like 8-bit like deal with it shades, and then he's like, fuck you.
And all he sees in your 8-bit glasses is reflection, and he kills himself. You did it.
You did it.
The god.
You did it. You killed a shard of the Nightbringer. Anyway,
so
we're at this point we're just doing shenanigans. We've been going for an hour and 20-something minutes.
Yeah.
We want to talk about the stupidity of the Catan and the stupidity of the fucking Necrons, and they're pretty ridiculous.
They are, but that's what makes them so great. Like, I didn't realize how much crazy shit they had and just exactly how strong they were. Like, I always knew everybody liked the Necrons. The Necrons were super strong. I didn't realize just how much insane, crazy, batshit Warhammery stuff they had. So now, I'm a big fan of the Cryptex. So they're fucking wackadoo.
There is something. There it is. I thought that we should mention one last thing. Just because Shai wants to talk about the Seraptic Heavy Construct. I don't really care. It's just a really big Forge World model that looks cool.
It sure does.
I don't know anything really about it lore wise. It just looks neato, and it's Forge World, so I try not to care much because it's probably like $500 fucking dollars. It's a Titan-sized robot bug, Bricky. Whatever. It's a robot bug. They have lots of those.
They do. It's like it's a giant rusty spider walker. That's what it is.
Yeah, it's neato. If I'm not mistaken, there's this one thing. Just in case you want to make sure that the Necrons are truly overpowered. There is something if I'm not mistaken, there is something called the Celestial Orrery. Whatever. It's a special device located at the Necron crown world of Thanatos, which is definitely not at all subtle. But it is a star chart with tiny various glowing lights that represent each of the stars in the galaxy. Mm-hmm. And apparently all they need to do is go boop, and then the star on that chart explodes.
What? What? They have a star chart and they can just boop it and the star explodes? No questions asked, it just happened?
Let's see. An act that snuffs out any of these lights leads to its physical counterpart undergoing a supernova millennial before its time that destroys all the nearby worlds that circle it. Thus, the celestial orrery is capable of immense destructive power, but that destroying a star must be done with careful consideration, as it would upset the natural order of the cosmos and create a critical chain reaction. So the only reason they don't do it is because it would fuck up things. But if they wanted to, they could, like, some dude might just walk in there drunk and be like, and do that thing you would do with an elevator in a hotel and just like slap all the buttons.
Oh no, that'd be the worst.
It's like, oh no, I fell over. Oh shit, I tripped over a Canoptic Scarab. Oh no, it's the Soul System by Terra. Boop.
Just the sky lights up in orange. What happened? And there's just a drunk Necron that stumbles out of the orrery, and he's like, "Oops."
And it was Nemesis Zandrak, like drunk on oil because he thinks it's real.
Because he thinks, yeah, he's simulating what it's like to be drunk. He's like, I fucking hit all the fucking buttons.
It's like, Oberon, where are you? Why didn't you help me?
Yeah.
Oberon, drink some oil.
Jesus, that's crazy. Like, I'm not even gonna ask how that orrery works. I'm sure it's just
not
some Necron
important.
bullshit. It's not important. It just does.
It just does. Necrons are the most powerful race in the galaxy, and the only thing keeping them back is all those other issues. It is shenanigans. It is insanity. But you know what it is the most? It is damn fun.
Oh. You're supposed to say ridiculous. Adeptus ridiculous.
Oh, that's ridiculous.
And then go home.
There's no more drum set. There's no more drum sets.
What is it? It's ridiculous. Take us home, Bricky. There's the call.
Okay.
Damn it.
Thank you all very much for watching this episode of That's Ridiculous. You can find DK and DK Diamantes everywhere and most things. It's fine. Instagram is stupid anyway.
Yeah, that's true.
You can
I never
find
use it anyway.
Quite shy, quite shallow, and quite shy are those. I'm Bricky. You can find me at Bricky. Next week, we are doing...
Hey, don't blue ball me like that, man. You can't. You're gonna get fans real mad at you. Fucking asshole.